Oh, I cracked him!
Oh my god.
Fuck. Wait, nigga. Oh, yeah.
Yuri.
Yeah.
Yuri, yeah.
Oh, fucking, man, I hate snipers now. I keep fucking cracking them.
What is going on, guys? It is JJ here, back with a new video, and today, we're just gonna learn about Yuri VIPS. The title kind of says it all. A little blown away by this. We'll have that video at the end of this. I gotta bleep out what he says. I knew nothing about him. Apparently one of the drivers in the F1 Academy. It's a mistake. It's a mistake on his part, and I think he's probably just now learning that. Education is key. That's all I can say. Education is key. I get slaughtered for these types of videos, but I'm gonna learn who the kid is first to try to give myself some backstory, some context. But yeah, let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original Yuri VIPS video on Josh Ravel's channel for F1. Okay, I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna try to keep it on the line. I'll try to keep it on the line.
So Red Bull have a problem, and it's not
can't
necessarily the easiest one to solve. And in some cases,
the context for that part of the video is sublime now. The context for that part is sublime because they do have a big problem, and I believe they did suspend him immediately,
it ain't even their biggest problem.
Which is insane.
It's to do with its drivers, the ones that aren't even in Formula 1 yet. The British-based Austrian team has a group of talent in their young driver program that could all very well succeed in the cutthroat sport known as Formula 1, a place where the best and or the richest drivers go out to play. So Red Bull have a few young drivers waiting in the wings who are desperate to make an impact and show the world why they are the next legend to be, the next champion of Formula 1, the next whatever the hell is on their mind, I guess. And if you were to ask me personally who I would prefer to reach Formula 1 out of the current crop, it'd be Liam Lawson. Why? Because of this thing. Yeah, I remain impartial on this channel right up until someone produces one of these bad boys. This kid is wicked fast and could definitely make the cut. He is the most exciting prospect to come out of New Zealand in years. Sorry, Marcus. Which is why if you were to ask me if he was Red Bull's next Formula 1 driver in the making, and if he was someone who you would, by all logic, put into the AlphaTauri Formula 1 set for 2023, I would say no. Because right now, Yuri VIPS is Red Bull's next little golden child. And there's good reason for that. When you think of Estonian, not that one does very often, motorsport probably is not that high on the list. Maybe that has something to do with the fact that this place only has one racetrack throughout the entire country. Most probably don't even know that either. A lot of people probably couldn't name more than 2 drivers that hail from this country, but Estonia has produced Marko Martin, Tanak, Marco Asmir, Sten Pentis, Kevin Koyas, and the Aaron brothers, Paul and Ralph. And then we have this guy, Yuri VIPS. What's all the freaking hype about, huh? Why should we buy into the Estonian Nico Hulkenberg, huh? Well, let me explain. He's very fast. And I can end the video there. I've said my piece. But what's that? You want to learn more about Yuri VIPS and his whole story? Well, okay, Sophia. I will acquiesce and delve into the career of the one and only Yuri VIPS. And I'll explain why he may very well be the best option for Red Bull going forward, and also why he may not be the best option going forward in a matter of national.
He played his own hand here. I mean, he played his own hand.
Right.
Yeah.
God, I'm pathetic. And I guess we could start with the start of his junior Formula career. Oh, no. Don't you come in here with your Prema tax baloney. I mean, granted, Prema do provide some of the best prep for a young driver in any given series. But that shady crap was annulled by the end of 2016. Okay, I'm going off the deep end here. I'll get back on track. Yuri's car racing stint began back in 2016, driving in the German and Italian Formula 4 championships. He was teamed up with Juan Manuel Correa and Mick Schumacher in both championships, and while Mick was in his second year and thus had a decent foothold and understanding of the whole deal, Yuri and Correa were both greener than goose. But, you know, they did have each other to go up against. In the German championship, he overcame a bit of a mid-season slump to finish P6 overall, ahead of Correa, and almost won the Rookies Championship. And over in Italy, he finished P5 again ahead of Correa, and notched up his first win in the season finale at Monza. He also won the Rookies Championship, and people were already looking at this dude as a potential future prodigy. I mean, they kind of already were, thanks to him winning 38 million championships in karting, but that's a whole nother story.
Really?
He was also regarded as a title favourite for next season. So did he win the Italian F4 Championship for 2017? Well, obviously the answer is no. Mainly because He wasn't eligible for points. Over in Germany though, he was in the running for points, and toward the end of the championship, it was a straight fight between him and his new teammate, Marcus Armstrong. Marcus took second in the final race that year, while Yuri came home in third, which gave Yuri just enough points to take the title that year, winning the championship by 4.5 points. I must say, Marcus, you've got some house luck, don't you? Although for Yuri, on paper, with a lukewarm campaign over in India, as well as a sort of meh one-off F3 event, didn't do much to further his stock. Maybe Yuri was adding to the list of those F4 champions. Momentary glory before fading into obscurity with no one ever remembering who the hell you are. It's kind of like getting runner-up in Australian Idol. But in 2018, he would commit to a full season of Formula 3 driving with Motorpark. It was a strong team with the likes of Yuri and Dan Ticktum in there, although it was balanced out by the presence of Marino Sato. Despite that one-off stint last year, Yuri was classified as a rookie for this season, and so had a shot at the rookie's title. He wouldn't win it though, that went to Bobby Schwartzy. But he did take 4 race wins and 3 pole positions, finishing P4 overall for that season, which was honestly blimmin' awesome when you consider everything. He was also part of the first ever Estonian 1-2 for the series, following countryman Ralph Aaron home in Misano. Big dub for the Estonia. Toward the end of the year, he would sign with the Red Bull Driver Academy, with Dr. Helmut Marko seeing something in him that was endearing. Or maybe he just saw that he was a bit of a maverick, and I mean, hey, after all, that is the type of driver that Marko likes. There's nothing wrong with that, and of course, it's indicative of a driver that is worth a damn, which is why we're all here in the first place. He would also contest the Macau Grand Prix at season's end, where he did well, if you ignore the fact that he was
my biggest thing is, how did they then discover Max Verstappen? Like, how did they discover Max Verstappen at that young age that they knew he could get into the F1 car and drive as well as he did?
Qualified by Marino Sato and that in the race. He passed the marshal who was wiping his eyes with a red flag and was subsequently given a hefty penalty for making an overtake in that time. Still, despite this, and despite teammates Ticktum and Joel Eriksson having the measure of him in that race, things were looking on the up heading into the 2019 F3 season, which wasn't the same F3 season as before, but rather the F3 series, which was formerly known as GP3, but is not GP3 anymore because it's F3. Yeah, sometimes the FIA are cooked. One thing that was a constant though was its partnership with Hi-Tech, and now with Red Bull signage all over his car, there would be a hell of a lot of eyes on him, even if Prema were the overwhelming favourites due to them being, well, Prema. But with Leonardo Pulcini and Yi Yifi as his teammates, it was hardly going to be an easy run for him that year. Although that said, he made it look easy. He took 3 wins that year and was absolutely in the title hunt, right up until his acrobatics in Monza, but he was the best of the non-Prema runners. And to anyone looking at this championship via a Wikipedia article, they'd see that he had trounced his Red Bull Junior counterparts Liam Lawson and Suki Yonoda. So yeah, he's on top of the world, in some cases literally. The end of the season comes around and he's contesting both Super Formula and the Macau Grand Prix. Super Formula didn't really amount to too much, other than just to learn what he could in the last round of the championship, while my boy here won the title. Although in Macau, VIPS was the pace setter and was immediately marked as the man to beat that weekend. He took the pole and won the qualification race, but would ultimately lose out in the main race after giving Richard Verschoor a little bit too much room heading into Lisboa. Still though, with the year that he had, kicking ass and taking names, he looked forward to 2020, where he would take on the world and prove to everyone, although perhaps more importantly Helmut Marko, that he was the next legend to be, the next champion of Formula 1, the next whatever the hell.
Or so we thought.
For 2020, he was meant to be racing with Team Mugen in the Super Formula Series in Japan, alongside Tomoki Najiri, a damn fast teammate in a competitive championship in cars that were close enough to Formula 1 to warrant getting experience in. It would have all served him well, and if he were to win, or be vice champion like Pierre Gasly was back in 2017, it would add to his profile and perhaps elevate him toward a Formula 1 drive, yeah? Well, thanks to the pandemic, the world shut down, and Japan essentially sealed itself off from the world. The season was postponed until August, but even then, there was little hope that he'd ever race there, and eventually, he was replaced by Ukyo Sasahara ahead of the first round. This was deflating for sure, but if the worst thing to come from all of this is a slightly disrupted racing schedule, he should consider himself lucky. Anyways, time to cheer up. He was thrust into the Formula Regional European Championship with KRC Motorsport, and although he won nothing, he still demonstrated a lot of raw speed, and certainly impressed those around him. But then he would be called up to Formula 2 in August, to replace a man who many regard as perhaps the greatest talent to have ever come out of wherever he came from. A man who strikes fear into the hearts of every single person that ever dares call themselves a racing driver. Sean Galisle. That was incredibly disrespectful given how this all happened. So driving alongside his old buddy Dan Ticktum, he drove well enough.
Those who are huge racing marks, please fill me in on what that is, because I have no clue who
in the remaining rounds
is.
that year for Dams. But then his random ass luck struck again when he was given the all clear to enter the land of the rising sun to compete in Super Formula, albeit missing 3 rounds in doing so. Finally, he was going to get racing again in Super Formula. Except a week before the race, Team Mugen said that Sasahara would keep the seat and that VIPS would be heading back to Europe, and no explanation was given for that, which made us think, what the hell's going on here? It later turned out that in heading back to Europe, he completed a 300km test in a Red Bull F1 car, and this type of test means only one thing. Boy here had gotten his super license, which brought him one step closer to the Formula 1 dream. Red Bull also chose him as the team's reserve driver for multiple Grand Prix that year. So this was the reason for him being ejected from Super Formula. Right, okay, I see it all now. Another big dub for the Estonia. At least you would think that, because while he wasn't doing too badly in his F2 drive, someone who was doing extremely well in the same category in that same year was Yuki Tsunoda. And in the race for the F1 drive in 2021, well, Yuki won. I mean, could he have gotten that seat had Super Formula not been disrupted? I mean, considering how close Super Formula is, maybe. Who knows? It's not a cakewalk of a championship, that much is certain.
So had he actually been able to compete in Japan and compete with the likes of Yuki Tsunoda, he probably could have been in the AlphaTauri right now. Maybe it's a missed opportunity from Red Bull's perspective and not his.
But then perhaps you could argue that Honda were leaning on Marco to choose Yuki over anyone else. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Or that could be an old wives' tale. Either way, reality was that he did not get that seat, and instead would race full-time in Formula 2 for 2021, driving at high-tech alongside fellow Red Bull Jr., Liam Lawson. Nothing should inhibit Yuri from showing why he was the man. Nothing. Except the current gen Formula 2 car. Yes, that year, Yuri nabbed one fastest lap, 6 podiums, and 2 wins in Baku despite nearly being harpooned into Armenia by Alessio Deletta. And he finished ahead of Liam in the championship, further cementing his spot into the bosom of Dr. Marco. But that season was littered with weird stuff. First point of issue is reliability. The Dallara F2 car is reliable in the same way that I am a world-class comedian. In Bahrain, he suffered a gearbox issue while fighting for the lead. In Monza, he was out of the race due to a well-steamed engine. And in Sochi, he once again ran afoul of technical gremlins. He himself said the reliability was a bit of a joke. But I'll go one step further and say directly to Bruno Michel, sort your cars out, please. But taking aside the technical mishaps, how did Yuri do whenever the car was, still running? The answer was, he was alright. Okay, he was really good. He demonstrated speed all year and clearly looked like a driver worthy of a promotion to the coveted AlphaTauri seat. Although there were moments where his mind went numb, and that kind of didn't make him look like $1 million. But Marco still holds belief in him. Heading into 2022, he set an ultimatum for Yuri. Nothing as specific as winning the championship, just prove that you are worthy of a Grand Prix seat. And while his speed,
which is insane to think about, but at the same time, I feel so bad for the kid. I don't. You have to know better. You have to know better. Yuri VIPS. Are the stories already going to be here? Formula has been effective immediately for a racial slur. I feel for the kid. I really do. Maybe he learns from this. Honestly, I think that's the biggest thing, is maybe he learns from this. I'm tired of lecturing people on racial slurs. I don't think he's a bad kid. But obviously, he's 21 years old. He's 21, gonna turn 22 this year. So that's rough. That's a rough one. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a long video, so peace.